Welcome, everyone, to the Success Elevated podcast. As always, I'm your host, Hayden Lee, and I am joined this week by a very special guest, Tyler Kraupp, who is the founder and CEO of GoodCo Broker Club. Tyler, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, this is going to be an awesome podcast. We're excited to have you on. I think your story is very unique. We've connected previously in the past, kind of in a cool way that I think it maybe be cool. We can mention it a little bit later in the podcast. But you've now been kind of working with some of our team members here at our sister company, Get Found First, a little bit, and you guys have started and built a pretty cool business. And we wanted to have you on to talk all things GoodCo. But I think first and foremost, I'd love to kind of introduce you to our audience a little bit. And so take some time here and let's talk a little bit about your career background. Who is Tyler? How did you get to where you are today? And, what's kind of your background a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. First and foremost, thanks for the opportunity to be on the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
Have to give a major shout out to Mr. Michael Johnson and Katie Harris, two of my favorite people, and the opportunity to be able to collaborate with them a little bit more with the, Spot On Solutions team as well as the Get Found First team. It's been a really great, awesome experience from day one. So a major shout out to them.
Wow, we appreciate it.
Yeah. But so basically just lifelong entrepreneur, born and raised in Idaho Falls. So I'm kind of a local Idaho guy, but really kind of just trying to disrupt what it means to be an Idaho business owner, what it means to be an Idaho millennial, what it means to be just, all of the things, the modern way of doing business and operating in our communities.
Love it.
Yeah.
What, your experience, I feel like you have some really cool career experience. Again, we kind of connected originally. I know you've known Katie and Michael for a long time, but me and you originally connected because you were working over at Bank of Idaho with those guys over there, and we actually had you in and had the president of Bank of Idaho came in and did a podcast interview, which is really cool for us, and it's fun to see kind of how those connections have continued to grow over the years. But talk a little bit about career-wise. What did you do previous to where you are now at GoodCo?
Yeah, certainly. So working backwards, I was the marketing director for Bank of Idaho for about 2.5, 3 years. I had it was probably a 6-month sabbatical between starting GoodCo and exiting the Bank of Idaho. I moved to California and stayed on Pacific Coast Highway 1 and tried to decide what I was going to do with the rest of my life.
That's awesome.
So I always like to include that on the resume.
Sabbatical. Yeah, that's a great sabbatical.
That's worked as the marketing director for Bank of Idaho, helped them scale to, over $1 billion in assets by the time, I exited, helped them scale from, 13 branches to the last project I worked on was the merger and acquisition of 5 branches in Eastern Washington. Reported directly to Mr. Newgard, an amazing friend, family man, mentor, Idaho business leader. Learned so much working with him and working with the investors for the bank. Prior to that, I was actually kind of a lifelong entrepreneur. I'm back in the seat that I was when I started. Started my first company when I was 16. Ran and operated a full service web and graphic design agency for about 10 years. Built my client list and portfolio. That's where I originally crossed paths with Katie and Michael, just being in the space. Really just trying to provide a good customer experience for whatever kind of demographic I'm in. That's kind of my MO.
I love it. So I love that your background is a lot of marketing, because I feel like that relates so heavily to what we're doing, but also to what you're doing now with GoodCo, because I think it's a unique thing that you're doing. Maybe it just feels unique to me. I don't know. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but I love the business model that you guys have started there. And again, it might not be as unique as I'm thinking it is. You can probably correct me otherwise.
Unique, yeah.
But I love what you guys are doing, and I think there's some cool marketing aspects that you've done and your brand and how you've built that. And I love that Get Found First and our team here gets to be a small part of that in some way, shape, or form. But the 6-month sabbatical is cool to me because I think in theory, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you probably came up with a lot of these cool ideas that you're now putting into practice with GoodCo. And so is that kind of how it all generated? Was that 6-month sabbatical? You're like, I want to do something a little different. And it sounds like you're Katie likes to call it, you're a serial entrepreneur. Like
Yeah.
you just can't
Yeah,
help
yeah.
but start
Yeah.
businesses and do that, right? And so
Yeah.
that 6 month sabbatical probably didn't last obviously didn't last very long. You're like, I got to do something
Yeah.
new. So talk a little bit about the genesis of GoodCo. What started that process? How'd you come up with that idea? Who did you partner with originally?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, certainly. So one of the points that I would say about my marketing background is, in my opinion, as kind of the entrepreneur, I believe marketing's kind of the modern, business degree. Like if you have the marketing skill set and know how to properly communicate your business idea and provide those differentiators in the marketplace, I really think that that's the foundation for any good business, right? Like it used to be accounting, it used to be fundraising, it used to be all these different things or sales.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, marketing's kind of won the way of the world here recently. But yeah, so that's kind of where I've been is in the sense of marketing. I always feel customer experience is kind of my passion. And to me, it's merging the operational with the experiential to provide something that's memorable in whatever industry or niche that you're in.
Yeah.
And that's really the inception of the idea for GoodCo is I wanted to create a business plan that could be a disruptor in a lot of industries. What I was seeing when I was exiting the bank was really the break in the customer experience and the customer journey, right? Like whether it's finance, whether it's insurance, whether it's real estate, whether it's marketing, home services, construction, like any niche, right? Any business. And that's really why I took the sabbatical, was to really consider how can I disrupt the customer experience in the financial services industry, right?
Yeah.
Like it could have been, investment products. It could have been insurance. It could have been multifamily real estate investing, right? But I felt that the biggest differentiator that we could make is in the mortgage space and providing that customer experience that I've always kind of dreamt of and I think should be kind of the best-in-class standard in the industry.
Yeah.
And so that's why, that kind of goes into why we called ourselves GoodCo. Like, I love how it just rolls so easily off the tongue.
Yeah.
Let's not overcomplicate it. Like, we're a good company. We're good people to be around. We set ourselves to a higher standard of execution and, just the way that we treat our customers. And every time we see that logo or we walk into our office and it's plastered all over the office, we have a core set that we're living by. So if we're not hitting those goals, then we need to reassess. Yeah. It always holds us, awesome. Holds us accountable, right?
Customer experience is so relatable, and I love that was. I didn't know that was kind of the genesis of GoodCo, and I love that is true because it's so important to just about every industry you're in, but especially if you're in any kind of service-based industry, right? Yeah. Like, and at the end of the day, like obviously you guys are talking about mortgages, and that could be considered a product, but you guys are selling a service. You guys are providing us the service of we're helping, hopefully helping someone purchase their dream home, right? Yeah. And make that process easier for them. And, we at Spot On Solutions, which is, mostly what I deal with, we work with the home service industry and are helping, these people build businesses where they are in people's homes, taking care of them and trying to help either build back their home or build them a new home or, help make their lives more comfortable, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And it's all this service-based customer experience. And what do you feel, and this is, you can take this as broad or as narrow as you'd like, but what do you feel makes a good customer experience? Are there some key tenets that you live by? Like, what are you trying to do to help your customers have a good experience?
Yeah. Wow, that's a loaded question. To me, it's it comes down to, I don't know, like I guess I would say two things, maybe three, but for me, I'm it's surprising the people that are on my team really believe that I'm an analytical kind of numbers guy. When in real actuality, I really like the warm and fuzzies is really what gets me out of bed. Yeah. Case in point, this morning, it was a really cool case study that I sent the team. We have a new first-time homebuyer family that's purchasing a new property, and we just found out that they just got engaged last night. Like they went to Vegas and did their whole engagement thing, and they sent the picture of the engagement photo to their parents, and the very next text that they sent was the photo of the engagement and saying how excited they are of their life journey to their mortgage broker. Like, how crazy is it?
That
right?
is crazy, yeah.
So that tells you something about the combination between the processes we built and also the relatability to be able to, let's not make this process stuffy, right? Like, let's just make it engaging, authentic.
Yep.
But in particular, with a good customer experience, in my mind, it's it goes back to that marketing practice of do your due diligence and research on what the actual customer pain points are, like versus what you think they are versus what the data tells you.
Yeah.
And the data told us that the speed for lenders to get back to families is slow, the communication is slow, the ability to not relate in the sense that a lot of these first-time home buyers and people purchasing real estate aren't that excited about going into a bank branch anymore. It might be intimidating. It might be, we did kind of a straw poll, and they compared the customer experience, analytics of a lending team and mortgage team to that of like the worst airline, like Spirit Airlines.
Oh, geez.
That kind of NPS score and kind of that data will really give you that insight into what you should be. And who would have thought that a good customer experience would be a mega disruptor and differentiator? Like, it's really not rocket science.
No, that's awesome. And I think you're spot on there. And
spot on solutions.
Spot on solutions.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Good company. You're having a good time, right? We came up with some good names.
Product
for these businesses.
placement. Wow.
Yeah. But I think that works because something that we identified within our team was that the reason that a potential customer decides to stay with us or leave us, and those however you want to look at it, but the reason that a client decides to stay with our marketing agency really comes down to two things. One, obviously there's got to be performance. We've got to help them grow their business, bring in more leads for them, help get them more traffic on their website, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But the second thing, and I would argue that this is much more important and probably I would say is 60 or 70% of the reason they stick around is that communication piece.
Yeah.
And it's so huge that I think a lot of people miss it. They think, well, there was no update, so I don't need to talk to these people, right? Or I don't need to email or send a text or call my client because there was no update. And something as small as sending a text, sending an email can make all the difference in that customer experience, in that relationship. And I've had clients that appreciate a quick email so much that they'll leave us a positive review on our Google Business profile or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, all I did was say, hey, I'm going to look into this. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Like a quick email like that, maybe you don't even have to answer their question, just helps them know, oh, these guys are paying attention. They know what's going on, right? And I love that that's such an important piece for you guys too, is just like, hey, we're just going to solve the communication problem. And that, because that's something I've totally noticed as well, is like it takes months sometimes to get a mortgage processed or to be able to purchase a home, maybe just to get pre-approved. And in large part, it's because of that communication piece.
Yeah. And that's, I believe that we're a customer experience company and mortgage broker second, really, honestly. Like, my first hire was Lacey Marie, and I put her in charge of her title as head of partnerships. Before we even talked to a customer that wanted to get pre-approved, I felt it was incredibly important to bring somebody into the C-suite that could help me. I sat down and figured out the target demographics and who all of our customers were. And I think this is a good piece of advice for your Spot On Solutions team and business owners, is the customer experience doesn't just happen with the customer. It could be your referral partners, it could be your vendors, it could be your sponsorships, community engagement, your marketing teams. And that's one of the things that I isolated, is I wanted to provide that same level of exceptional customer service to our referral partners, i.e. real estate agents, i.e. construction companies, that we do to the end consumer and to the end customer. Yeah. So, from a business perspective, the customer experience doesn't just stop at the customer, right? It's the same with, if we're not onboarding an employee the same way we're onboarding a client, we're missing something, right? Yeah. We're just an experience company, really, is what it comes down to.
Yeah. I love that. I think those referral parties are so important. And again, real estate, I mean, there's a referral at every step of the process, right? Yeah. Like, I think when me and my wife bought our home 5 years ago, like, we had a neighbor tell us about this, real estate agent, and then we have somebody else tell us about this mortgage lender, and somebody else tell us about this title company, and there's just referrals at every step of the process. And so like not only do you have to care for your customers, you have to care for your referral parties too. And like that's a crucial piece to this whole thing.
That's the business model, right? Like that's our Lacey's sole job is to make sure that the real estate agent gets paid faster, right? Like that's their target. That's their pain point.
Yeah.
A couple interesting stats, and then you layer that with the operations and the process, and all of a sudden you've got a pretty good business that's getting some steam. Of, in Bonneville County here in Idaho, the average clear to close from contract to keys is about 32 days. We're averaging. We just finished a deal for 12 days. Our average pipeline is 16 days.
It's awesome.
So that speeds up that process. And we're also, then you layer that with, higher margins, cost of funds. We're about 0.75% cheaper than the institutional investor, the retail bank, the credit unions. So just layering all those differentiators, and you start to get some momentum, and every business owner can figure out what those are.
Yeah. Well, and again, the reason a customer chooses to stay with you, again, we've identified that it's generally comes down to those two things. It's performance and communication. Like, you guys are doing a great job of the communication, and you're also doing the performance piece too, right? Yeah. Like, you've also hey, we're going to get you a cheaper rate. We're going to get you a better rate. We're going to get you paid faster with regards to real estate, like the real estate agent. So like, you're doing both of those things, which again, it's probably not true with every business, but for us, that's been the case. Is like, you've got to perform well, bring in, help them grow their business, and then you've got to communicate well with them too. And you guys are doing both those things as well, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I want to hit at this, not because I want to harp on it too much, but I do think it's funny. You guys started a mortgage brokerage at a pretty tough time, at least from the outside looking in. And again, you can correct me and be like, nope, this was actually a cakewalk, but I'm probably making some assumptions that it wasn't, right? And so like, talk to me a little bit about like why, or maybe not why, but how you guys were able to overcome the challenge of the marketplace right now. And over the last year and a half, 2 years, like, mortgage rates have been through the roof, and people are not wanting to sell their home and upgrade because they know they're now going to have to go from a 2% interest rate to a 7% interest rate, or 6 or whatever, right? So talk about like, how have you guys been able to really grow and overcome those roadblocks in a pretty challenging time for the real estate world? Yeah.
When I told my business mentors that I was starting a mortgage company, about a little over a year ago, they thought I was nuts. The people that I really appreciate their opinions of, should I really do this? Is this really a good idea?
Yeah.
Almost all of them said no. But I was like, well, I think I'm going to do it anyway. Like, what's the alternative?
Yeah.
But in terms of the market, for me, it goes down to two things. We finished the refinance boom when interest rates were at 2-3%. Surprisingly, the pain points of that good market still exist today, in the sense of, lenders don't typically go to the closings with their clients, which to me is ridiculous. That's the celebration. That's what you work hard for. And, a lot of family members' largest purchase in their life. The loan officers believe that they're too busy, or they're always on to the next file. Yeah. So it's an operational customer experience problem. My non-negotiable rule number one is, every single closing that we go to, I show up in suit and tie, whether it's the first-time home buyer or the investor that's on, his multi-million-dollar multi-family property. Yeah. I think everybody deserves that same experience, especially with the roots of Idaho of, buying a property is a big deal, it changes the net worth for the majority of Americans. Yeah. Speaking particularly to the market, though, I think it has been challenging, and it has been difficult, but I believe that if we can prove to our referral partners that we're with them through the thick, and we'll be there when it's thin. Right? Like that kind of mentality of, I wanted to prove that we were here and we're here to stay in a bad environment, so that it kind of gave us that reputation that we're the authority and we're here to stay. When a lot of banks are laying off their mortgage loan officers. A lot of mortgage brokers are sending their workforce home. I doubled down with billboard ads and recruitment, right? Like, it's just a differing philosophy of let's do this differently. It's all this preconceived notion of it's whatever the financial goal is for the individual. It's, yeah, the rates suck and it's tough, but there's always ways to, do a rate buy down, or, seller concessions are really popular right now, or just kind of having that consultative conversation with people of what their goals are. There's still opportunities. You just have to look a little harder.
Yeah, you just have to find them. That's awesome, and that's a great description of it, because I think about all of like the craziness that's gone on over the last, it's been 4 years really since the beginning of COVID and everything, and we're still dealing with some after effects of all of that. But I love that there's still success to be found. And, we've seen that within our company. Like we've continued to grow. We've seen that with our clients' companies. Like their businesses have continued to grow even in challenging times. And the mortgage industry is no different. And you guys are having success and finding success. And you have to get outside the box a little bit, which I love that's like you're problem solving. And it's no different in your industry than it is in ours,
Yeah. For speaking directly to the market, the S&Ps and the 500 is at its highest level that it's ever been.
Yeah.
Unemployment is still really low. We're seeing a lot of still relocation from outside states coming into Idaho. We're recently licensed in Utah, and we're seeing those same patterns. The inflation is high right now, but, to combat that, we are seeing a little bit higher wages, which is a good sign. And companies that are investing in their employees and their workforce. So I think there's some good signs. I think the Fed's reining in inflation. I think you'll see that drop a little bit this summer, for some good interest rates. But, there's always opportunity. The majority, one of the stats I was reading the other day is Americans are sitting on more net worth and equity in their homes than ever in American history.
Yeah.
Right. So, if you use it as a income tool, if you use it as an investment tool, there are opportunities.
Yeah. So cool.
The Success Elevated podcast is brought to you by SOS Navigator. SOS Navigator is an on-demand training platform geared towards marketing, personal development, and business growth. We understand that as a business owner in the service industry, you wear a million hats. Let SOS Navigator be a simple and cost-effective way for you to continue to grow your business. Click the link in the show notes below and use code SOS Podcast to get 10% off your next on-demand training course.
I want to shift gears a little bit on you, Tyler, because I think your story is unique here, and it's changed so rapidly that I'd love to get your opinions on it. But one of the things that I sent over to you is a potential topic was you went from pretty recently working as an employee for a large company and helping them grow. You were a leader in that company, but you were still an employee, to now owning and operating your own business. And you've been a serial entrepreneur, so you're probably used to this, but I'd love to get your thoughts a little bit on like the leadership aspect, and how has your opinions on leadership changed over the last couple of years as you've shifted your role, or has it stayed constant? Do you still have strong opinions about it? I'd love to kind of hear what you think about being a leader, now owning your own business.
Yeah. I think for me, it's kind of the wisdom of just kind of authenticity and caring. I know that's kind of cliche, overused words, but that was really one of the driving forces of me wanting to be back as the business owner, is kind of just the culture piece of authenticity and relatability, and people that really truly have your back is really tough to find in business, whether you're a W-2 or a business owner.
Yeah.
And I think that's for me, that's kind of the principle that I try to live by every single day, is what am I doing for my employees and team members, that's not just their paycheck, or not just the, I really want them to be successful. I want them to be happy. I've dealt with my own, one of the reasons I went on my sabbatical is I do deal with a little bit of mental health issues. Depression and anxiety is a real thing, and especially as a owner operator and managing all of those feelings, and I think it's important to make sure that business owners and CEOs and the C-suite are held a little bit more accountable on how their employees feel. Not necessarily that they can make their parent-teacher conferences and the sports games and stuff, but do they feel comfortable putting their phone away to go spend time? And are they not like stressed about what those text messages are when they plug back in.
Yeah.
Or, those kind of things. And also just of this modern, I think, another disruption is this modern workforce, post-COVID. How do we stay, modern with the workforce that's available to us? How do we adapt to remote working and, on-off schedules, all those kind of things. And I wanted to take a crack at it and see if I could do it a little bit better.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think being a good leader, to your point, is like being willing to change and having the humility enough. And I totally see that in you, that you're willing to be like, remote work's a big deal, and taking care of my employees' mental health. Like, that's not something that was really a thing 10 years ago, you know? And so I love that that's like a priority for you. Is like, we're going to care about our employees. We're going to do that. And I feel like the good leaders in my life do those things, and I try and emulate those in a lot of ways. Is like, how can I take care of my team members in a way that makes them feel like it's authentic? Because I want to be real with them, and I want to be honest. And that might mean talking about my own insecurities or, places that I fall short, but I think they're going to appreciate that more in a lot of ways, me being honest and authentic with them.
Yeah. And I think the key word right now, the N word, is burnout, right?
Yeah.
Like post-COVID, we're seeing more and more remote workers not able to tune out and check out, because it's just kind of meshing the walls of the home so much right now. I think burnout's a huge thing, but it's also just being that relatable CEO and human that, we're all in this together. But in the same sense, I think a lot of employees these days respect that I'm the creator. I wouldn't ever ask you to have the same level of passion that I do. Like, this isn't your baby, right? So don't expect it from an employee, I love that. Set those stipulations and, have that conversation up front.
Yeah. I don't know where I saw that, but I saw, I don't know if it was a TED Talk or maybe just like some kind of business conference where somebody said that same thing, where I think it was some kind of like leadership conference where he was being asked a question on stage where somebody in the audience was like, I can't get my employees to work as hard as me. Like, I'm putting in 90 hours a week. And he's like, they're not going to. It's just not like to expect that from your employees who don't own the business, that aren't, it's not their baby like it is for you, because you created this thing from nothing. Like, to have those expectations is just unrealistic. Like, you need to have realistic expectations with your employees, with how you would like them to act and how they want to be treated. You need to treat them that way. Like, it was just a really eye-opening thing that I think is lost in modern business world a little bit. It's like, everybody should hustle and grind as hard as I'm hustling and grinding. And it's like, well, they don't own the business, so that's they're probably not going to. Like, and to want to expect that is just, it's a little unrealistic. So I love that. Tyler, we've talked about so many cool things today. Goals for the future. What are you hoping to accomplish with GoodCo? I don't know, you take it as specific or as 30,000 foot view as you would like, but if you have a specific goal for 2024 or beyond, like what are your guys' goals for the future?
Yeah, I think it's to continue to disrupt. We're working internally to perfect our processes. Obviously, this is kind of like the refined view, but not everything's perfect, So to me, I love that, like, actually building the thing. I see those as successes. In 10 months last year, we did about $4 million in loan volume. This Q1, we've got $4 million in pre-approvals in 90 days. So it's showing kind of the disruption, layered on top of a little bit better market performance and indicators, and that leads us to good success. I'd like to kind of 4X my company for the next couple of years each year. We've just finished our fundraising round for our advisory board, so there's a lot a lot of smart people in the room that can kind of help drive the mission and vision and direction of the company. And then just kind of take the mission, stateside. Like, we want to get licensed in as many Western states as we can, and really start proving this concept to as many homeowners and families and neighborhoods and communities as we can.
I love it. Take the good brand, good brand a little bit more than just Southeast Idaho, because we obviously love you here and we think you guys are awesome, and what you're doing is incredible. And so if we can shout that from the rooftops a little bit more, I think that'd be awesome. So love it. Well, Tyler, I want to kind of close up by asking the same questions we ask everybody. This has been an awesome podcast, and I know there's been some great value for our listeners. So I want to close, same 3 questions we ask all of our guests. First question, book or podcast that you're reading or listening to that you're really enjoying, or that you've read or listened to recently that you just really loved?
Yeah. So one of my business principles is I'm kind of opposite of a lot of folks in the sense of I'm so in tuned and connected all day with phone usage and computer usage and all the things. So I'm not much of a podcaster and not much of a digital guy. My favorite things to do when I get home is just pick up like a really goofy fiction book. Like I'm a huge John Grisham guy, just to kind of decompress a little bit. Same with just kind of my love for music and busting out the old vinyl records is kind of my jam on the evening hours.
That's great. Well, that leads perfectly into question number 2, which is how do you recharge at the end of a long day? So I would assume some of the vinyl records probably play into that a little bit. How do you recharge the emotional and mental batteries?
Yeah, for sure. It's always once the weather turns, I'll be at the golf course quite a bit. Travel just like everybody else to the warmer climates. Little small fun fact of this last weekend that's always interesting is I've made a practice to watch all of the Oscar Best Picture films. It's been about 12 years running that I've seen top down all the films.
That's awesome. So
it's just a good way to like disconnect and kind of get a pulse on humanity and arts and just all the things.
Yeah. Great answer. I know you were worried about the answer. That's an awesome answer. It's an awesome answer. Last question. And again, thank you for all things, all your answers and all of your discussion today. I know it's been awesome and people really have enjoyed it. But if you could rewind to the beginning of your career, and again, we kind of leave this open-ended enough that you can take it to the beginning of your career with Goodco or with Bank of Idaho or further along to when you were doing that, that marketing agency. But if you could rewind to the beginning of your career and tell younger Tyler one thing, what would that one thing be?
Man, yeah, that's my New Year's resolution and things that I've been really working on this season is the idea of just surrendering.
Yeah.
Just put in the work, put in the grind, do all the things that all business owners do, and then just kind of leave it to God. See what happens. The past's already been written. All you have to do is just turn the page and experience it.
I love it.
So
the idea of surrendering is probably not talked about enough in the business world. And I love the idea of like, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to try my best, and then I'm going to just leave it up to God and whoever else. And we're going to, whatever the results are, we'll be happy with it.
Yeah. So. At the end of the day, did you put in a hard working day? Are you proud of the day?
Yeah.
And let the rest, chips fall where they may.
That's awesome. Tyler, again, thank you so much. I want to give you the opportunity now to give a little plug for Goodco. Where can people, if they're interested in learning a little bit more about what you guys are offering, where can they find you?
Yeah, certainly. So goodcobroker.com is our website. We're pretty active on social media with our friends that are helping us from Get Found First. Couple things, if you are in the area and region, we are hosting a 2-day home and garden show at the Mountain America Center in Idaho Falls.
Love it.
On April 19th and 20th, 2024. Tickets are $5 to get in. We've got over 170 vendors all sold out. Good community sponsorships. But that's my cell phone's all over the internet. Same with our website URL. So I'm pretty easy to find.
Love it. GoodcoBrokerClub.com. And everywhere else that you guys are located. So really appreciate it. Tyler, again, thanks again for coming on. And I hope to have you on again in the future because I know as you guys continue to grow, you're going to continue to expand and try and do new things and accomplish some awesome stuff. And so we're gonna have to have you on again in the future. So
thank you, my friend.
This has been Success Elevated, making you a little bit better one show at a time. Thanks for joining us. Please subscribe on YouTube or any other major podcast platform to listen to more episodes. We are proudly brought to you by Spot On Solutions. If you'd like to learn more about how we can help you grow your business, please check us out at spotonsolutions.com.